On today's show, are Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving top 5 guards in the NBA? We'll talk about that and where we rank all the guards in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer, subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know, where do you rank Luka and Kyrie among the NBA's best guards? Give me like a 1 to 10, 15, like where you rank both of those. Very curious. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on Mavs Rumors and more. Subscribe to our subtext. The more subscribers we get on there, the more episodes we'll do, bonus stuff, all that. We're testing it out. So let us know in the comment section and then subscribe to our subtext. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, Studio 41, the ranking reject, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
All right, so Shams had a tweet today that I had some fun with. I thought it was kind of funny because I just don't understand how they could really define this. All right, so Shams tweets out, the Board of Governors are expected to vote this week on a new policy to where a team is unable to rest 2 star players.
Yeah.
In the same game. A win for fans. Big fan of that for the fans. But how you determine what a star player is? Like what?
He tweeted that out.
No, wait, I didn't see that.
Okay, how do you think they should determine it then? Because he did actually say how the NBA is going to determine this.
Oh, it's probably going to be like fan voting and all-stars or something.
A fan voting? Like the fans get to vote every year?
They vote for who the stars are. So then like your boys like Kyle Kuzma, you say are like stars.
Austin Reeves becomes a star then this year. No, they any player that has made the All-NBA or All-Star over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years. Okay.
So okay. Julius Randle is like a star player. Can't sit at the same time. But Jalen Brunson can sit whenever he wants.
Dude can sit whenever. Anyway, I immediately just thought about the Lakers. I was like, man, I don't know. LeBron, AD, Christian Wood, they're going to have to figure that out. Who could sit when?
All right, on today's show, we are going to rank the guards in the NBA. We did a top 25 best guards. So best player we went by. That is a giant cup that you just hit your microphone with.
Dude, you know, one of the underrated things about Sonic is flavored water, strawberry water.
Wow.
It's the best thing
just
in the
infused,
world.
just straight up?
No, just like strawberries cut up, thrown in the water. It's incredible.
We want to answer the question, is Luka the best guard in the NBA? We're also going to answer the question, where does Kyrie rank among the best guards in the NBA? But before we do that, like bleeding really badly.
Like, wait. Oh my gosh.
I'll be right back.
What the Michael Myers just happened?
I'll be right back.
Do I just need to, am I just like vamping right now?
Yeah, you're going to vamp because this is part of the episode now because I've shared it with the audience.
Well, yeah, you just made somebody pass out. What? Go bandage up your finger. All right. So now we just get to hang out. Do a little ASMR. Tomorrow. You know, the weather in Dallas is supposed to be incredible. No longer will we see the days of 100-degree weather. Actually, let's look at Nick's bookshelves back here. Some things we can check out. Magic Johnson. Let's get off some takes right now. One of the most overrated players of all time. Let's keep on. Vader. R2-D2.
You didn't do any content. You just started naming things that are on my back shelf.
Possibly. No, I mean, I actually got down to like question
Isaac Harris, professional podcaster.
Well, I mean, what if we disagreed a lot? What if Luka Luka the best guard?
I hope this is the episode that David Locke or one of the staff members of Locked On listens to be like, and we always share at our staff meeting, like episodes that we listen to that week. I hope this is one of them. So
some multi-million-dollar company is like, all right, let me see if we need to.
Can I share why I'm bleeding?
I mean, I don't know.
Yesterday,
don't talk about me not being professional and like good at content. You're gonna come back with some like.
Well, I think now we've created intrigue. Yesterday I was making sushi and I sliced my finger wide open.
That's what you get for eating sushi.
You don't like sushi? Just
No.
like very anti-sushi?
Yeah, no, I'm out.
No. Well,
Weird texture.
I was making it at my house, and so yeah. That's the story. All right. Is Luka the best?
Fired off like 3 different takes in the past like minute there that people are gonna be coming for my throat. Sushi, Magic Johnson, and something else. It's just like, oh. Anyway.
As long as you don't besmirch Magic Johnson's tweets, I'm okay with whatever you say.
Well, he does that himself.
All right. We're ranking guards 1 to 25, and we're trying to figure out who's the best guard. So, number 1, we got to answer the question. Is Luka the best guard in the NBA?
Yeah, I think he barely beats out Trae Young, but it's of course Luka Doncic.
A fourth take, people are coming at you.
Yeah, it's not even a question. Luka Doncic is the best guard in the NBA. It feels weird saying guard because he's 6'8", but he's a point guard. Yeah, he is. I mean, we could go through all the accolades that he's accrued over the first part of his career now. But there's a reason why that anytime you see all of the GM polls, the media polls, that anybody who follows the league, as far as these polls that happen, Luka is still the name that is taken of who would you rather start your franchise with. He's still right up there, 1 or 2 on that list. So when it comes to best guards in the NBA, it's Luka Doncic alone at top.
It's, to me, I don't know if he's alone at the top. Him and Curry are so close to me that you can go back and forth. Now, first team All-NBA guard. This is the last time that we can make this case because now All-NBA is going to be positionless. But first team All-NBA guard, over the last 4 years, Luka has made it 4 times. Curry has made it 3 times. Chris Paul made it 3 times. Lillard 3 times. Jimmy Butler, I guess he's a forward, but he made it 3 times. No other guard has more than 1. So if you're talking about who's the best, it's Luka, and then like Chris Paul's not in the same category anymore. I don't think Lillard's on the same level as Luka. LeBron's made it 4 times, but I don't know. You put LeBron as a forward more so. And so then it's Luka versus Curry, and I think Luka versus Curry is a good conversation that we could have, and we won't bring Cyrus Satz of Locked On Warriors on to have that conversation, but you and I can have that conversation.
Or any conversation. So I think for me, I actually think there's like 3 guys in that. I did tiers.
Of course. Yeah, of course you did.
I think there's 3 guys behind Luka. I think it's Steph, Devin Booker, and SGA.
Yeah.
And I think that's like that second tier there, but Steph has the championship pedigree. He has the I'm trying to think of the nice ways to say it without coming across as like shots at like Luka, but it's like this. He has shown that ability to adapt to other teammates coming in and playing kind of different roles on ball, off ball, peak conditioning. And I would say they're both in their own right above average defenders whenever they try and like when they have to play it.
Both have limitations in different ways defensively.
Yeah, I give the edge to Luka just because of the physical part of it, of his size and all the stuff that he can do. The versatility on the offensive side of the ball. And yes, Steph's layup game and short, like all that is incredible too. But I give the overall game over to Luka at this point.
Coming up, what separates Luka from Steph Curry? More on what Isaac was saying and why I think that Luka is the number 1 guard. And then where does Kyrie rank in all of this? Is he a top 5, top 10, top 15? Where does he rank? We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Ibotta. finally, if you're taking that summer vacation, you're a little late on it. But hey, summer is summer for whoever, whatever you decide.
Hey, I got one coming up.
That's true. You're taking a trip. So the season is for your trip, whatever you're taking. You already know that you're going to buy stuff for the trip. You're getting ready. You know that you're going to go out. You're going to go to, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy. You got to grab stuff before, you want to go. You got to, go get clothes. Like, I need a couple more shirts, or I need a couple more like things for my trip. You're not going to get dressed up and go get clothes.
Yeah, let me hit up JCPenney.
No, it's not one of the stores that I mentioned. I mentioned Macy's specifically. You know that you are going to do that. So you're going to spend that money. You might as well get cash back. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce, personal care, pantry goods, all kinds of stuff. You can get it at Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, all that. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year that you could use to cover the cost of an entire shopping trip if you want to do that. All the other apps give you points. They don't amount to much. So go to Ibotta. They're offering our listeners $5 for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED. When you register, go to the App Store, Google Play, and download the free Ibotta app. Use the code LOCKED. That's Ibotta, I-B-O-T-T-A, like Isaac bought a very large drink from Sonic, I-B-O-T-T-A in the Google Play or App Store. Use the code LOCKED.
My first shot, my first make.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. If you're part of the Raccoon Squad, we know that you made it through that first segment and my injury and Isaac's takes.
A live injury report there.
And everything. I thought we might as well just go for it. It's the off season. Hey, we're hanging out with you. We're talking Mavs. You're a part of this too. Everyone.
Yeah, I won't tell my boss if you don't.
It's me.
I know.
I was like,
I love how you thought about it for 0.2 seconds.
I was like, you're gonna go over my head until day. No, it's me. All right. I think Luka is ahead of Steph Curry. I think it's so close though. Like you, the way you described it, it was a clear cut Luka above Steph Curry. But to me, I think it's close. I think Steph is going to be 35. So there's a decline there where Luka is still on the rise. And I think that is a big difference between the two, because we're projecting like going into next year even. I think that Luka also excels in a way that Steph doesn't. They both excel at turning nothing into something. I've been watching Psych. Have you ever watched that show? He's a fake psychic detective, but he just and recently the chief of police was like, Sean Spencer, you succeed in where no one else can, because you can turn something into nothing. You can find clues where no one else can, because they all believe he's psychic, but he actually has just like the best vision of anyone on earth. They both succeed in that area. They can create something out of nothing. But Curry, it's creating his own shot and creating that. And he can create for others a little bit here and there, but Luka just is on a whole other level of creating a shot for somebody else that just wasn't there. And I think that's where he's a step above Steph Curry. And so for that reason, I'll put Luka ahead, because I think that's more important in an offense. Plus, we haven't seen Luka with the same amount of talent that Steph Curry has. Like, for as much as we can go, was it the system? You could do the Tom Brady Belichick. Was it the system with Steph Curry and Clay and Draymond and Steve Kerr, or was it those three players that made it better overall? I just don't think that we've seen Luka in that type of system. So for everyone saying, "Oh, Steph Curry is the system and he makes everybody better," well, Luka he doesn't even have the players that are at the same talent level as Steph Curry. So you can't hold them to the same the same standard at a certain point when it comes to team success and all that. So that's where I'd go with that, if that's going to be your counter to Luka versus Steph. But I think it's Luka 1. I don't think our audiences, I don't think you listening are going to disagree with us at all. If you do, let us know in the comments. I'm curious who's out there. And but I think it's Luka 1, Steph 2. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, me too.
My next one was Shea.
I gave Booker the nod, but I could hear either one.
And then
I love SGA. Yeah.
I had Booker right after that. I have SGA ahead because I think he's ahead defensively. I also think
I think Booker's right there. I think Booker's got a lot better defensively.
Gotten a lot better is not, to me, the same level as where SGA is. Like that's like that. I agree that Booker's gotten better defensively. We're gonna find out this year, because he's gonna be asked to really guard this season, whereas Shea's been being asked to guard less and less with Jalen Williams and Lou Dort and like all those guys getting introduced over the last couple of years. But yeah, I have Shea ahead. I just think that he's on a different level of getting his own shot and getting to the rim. I think that Booker can get a shot, and if he's hot, like in that that, what playoff series against the Nuggets or whoever, he was shooting like 80% from the field or something crazy. Like, yeah, he can get real hot, but Shea can just create so much more. And that's where I think Shea is better than Booker.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same as like Luka and Steph. I think they're both in the 3-4 spot.
Just going with your tiers
in these rankings.
So that's our clear top 4. I think Lillard is 5.
Oh, okay.
Who do you have 5 if not Lillard?
I might have Dame a little bit lower than this.
Did you drop him down because we're doing who's a better player? We're not you don't get to drop down because you've made a trade request. According to Shams, you're not going to show up to training camp. Like, that doesn't count against you. Even Jaw stuff, I didn't count Jaw stuff against him either.
No, I didn't either. I mean, a little bit of this. We're not in the middle of the season either, so we're doing
not yet.
Who we think's the bet? Yeah, we're doing who's the better player. So it's a little bit of projection of like better player this year. Like later on in my list, I have Cade Cunningham a little further up than probably what some people have, but it's because I think he's gonna have a monster year. I'm tired of this guy kind of getting disrespected, and I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna put Jamal Murray at 5.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Just the finals run. I mean, he's coming off the title. He averaged 20 and 6 last year. I think he just gets over. I mean, I will first admit I didn't know what to do with him for like years of like, what is he? And, some of the injury stuff and all of that. But I think you have to get a championship bump in a rankings like this. When I'm looking at somebody like a Donovan Mitchell and I'm saying, man, Mitchell versus Jamal Murray, it has to matter something to me that Jamal Murray takes it up. Mitchell does too in the playoffs, but he takes it up and now he has a ring now. So, and it has a lot to do with Jamal Murray, obviously Jokic too, but I have him at 5, but I have this tier 4 players. Dame is in this tier. He's just at the bottom of this tier.
Yeah, I've got this whole 5 or like 6 through 10, and they're just all kind of interchangeable for me. And I really struggled with trying to put them in an order. But Lillard is he's a clear 5 for me. The Jamal Murray one really does surprise me. I think there's something to be said about playing with a player that's so much better than you that it allows you to elevate your game a little bit. You're allowed a little bit more freedom. There's less double teams on you because there's so many on Jokic and so much attention to Jokic. So I'll knock Jamal Murray for that a little, but he played incredible. He's definitely in my top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
So I have Lillard. My number 6 is Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. Yeah, I have him at 7.
And then 7, I have Kyrie Irving.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I have okay, I'll just do my second tier. My second tier is Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, and Damian Lillard. And then I have like a separate tier right after that, and it's Kyrie and Ja. And the only reason why, like, give me a half of this season, and I'm gonna have Kyrie right up there in that other group. I just got to see a consistent at least 40 something games from Kyrie before I put him a little higher up the list. And I think he's gonna have a great season with Luka. I think he's an incredible basketball player, but the past few years haven't been as consistent as far as being on the floor and all of that. And I gotta see, I gotta see him get back to a consistent level for a long period of time before I put him in like my top, 6 or 7 again.
See, he was an all-star starter when he came to the Mavericks, and we've seen him now, and I think that he's still playing on a level where, as a talent, I would rather have him. If I'm not going to hold Ja Morant stuff against him, I'm not going to hold Kyrie stuff against him. So I gave Kyrie a bump where I didn't take reliability into an account. Whereas, like, if you look at the Action Network and Matt Moore's rankings, like, he wrote out reliability is a factor in my ranking, my player rankings here. And I didn't. I just think that I would take Kyrie over Ja, Jamal Murray, Trae Young, Anthony Edwards. Like, I would take Kyrie
right now, you would rather, like, if you could pick Kyrie
for 1
Irving,
year, just for
this year,
yeah.
Kyrie Irving or Anthony Edwards alongside Luka, you pick Kyrie over Ant.
Yeah, because if I'm just doing 1 year, because you can't project with the age or contract or anything like that. You're just picking one season, and I think Kyrie's Well, you also just changed the game because the game was who's better.
Who's the better player? Yeah.
It's who's hotter, not would I bang them.
Hot or not.
That's from The Office. But so who's a better player? It's not who would I want next to Luka. That's a different question to me. So
I
think Kyrie's a better player.
I think it's safe to say when it comes to guards in the league, we both have Kyrie and Luka. The Mavericks have 2 top 10 guards in the league
for sure.
Bam. Whether you have Kyrie at 5 or 6, or whether I have him at 9. So
yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
Coming up, let's see where we have the rest of our guards. We're going to go through and rank them all. If you're on subtext, we'll send you this whole list. So subscribe to our subtext if you want to see the whole list. And we'll talk about that coming up. All right, Isaac Harris, we're ranking the best guards in the NBA. We've decided collectively that Luka Doncic is the number 1 guard in the NBA. Kyrie is a top 10 guard in the NBA. So the Mavericks have 2 top 10 guards, which is a really big deal. We pretty much agreed on the top 6 or so. Jamal Murray was one that threw me off there. But I have Kyrie as my 7th. John Morant is my 8th. And then I have Jamal Murray at 9. That rounds out. Okay. And then Anthony Edwards at 10. That rounds out my top 10.
Okay. So we have the same top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now's where it gets really, really fun.
This is where it gets insane because this was so hard.
Yeah. This is where people can just come. Somebody's going to be flying off in the comments with some super hot take. And it's like, how do you not have Darius Garland as the 12th best guard in the league?
He's not my 12th best guard.
No, it's not mine either. But I will say this next tier for me is 7 players. So it's a
lot.
It's a lot of players for me. I'll say I have De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton next.
Yep.
And then I have Cade Cunningham.
Wow, you're real high on Cade.
Over James Harden, Trae Young, and Brad Beal.
Yeah. Wow. No,
I think he's that good. And so I've been in Cade's camp since. I hated the leg injury last year, but I think he is not Luka, but that type of style for them in Detroit to let him play that Luka role, and and his size at running the point, I'm just a big believer in him, and I think he's having a really, really good year.
I have Cade right outside this next tier. I think I have 7 in the next tier too, and I think it's the same guys. Trae Young, De'Aaron Fox, Drew Holiday, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Bradley Beal, Jalen Brunson, Darius Garland. That's my next group. And depending on what kind of season all of those guys have, they could
you have Brad Beal?
Brad Beal right after James Harden, yep.
Okay.
And Brad Beal ahead of Brunson and Garland. Which
you have more than 7 players.
How many is that? I go
Fox, Halliburton, Harden, Trae, Beal, Garland, Holiday, Brunson.
11 to 18. How many is that?
8.
1 more than 7. Sorry.
Yeah. And then you have Cade after that.
But I think Trae is the one right outside of the top 10 though.
Yeah, I would take De'Aaron Fox or Halliburton over Trae.
I'll still take Trae Young. Even with the downfall, he's still 25, 30. He's still 25 points, 30 points, and 10
inches
assists. Tall. Centimeters. We're still in FIBA mode, so we're still doing centimeters.
Are you comfortable taking Trae over Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, I took a lot of players over Cade Cunningham. Now, after coming back from a leg injury like that, I just gotta see it a little more. I didn't try to project as much with this.
I tell you, one of the hardest ones for me on this list was Brad Beal.
Very hard.
I had no clue where to put him because, if you tell me he was top 10 and he has a better year than, judging his year is going to be super hard, but I just didn't know where to put him.
There's not many guards over the last 4 years that have made All NBA, and he's one of them. And so you're like, okay, what do I do with him, Trae Young, James Harden? You're like, what do I do with these guys? And
I put Drew Holiday
with Brad Beal. It's about how you rank this. Where am I picking? Do I think of Bradley Beal as a better player than James Harden at this point? Oh man, I don't think so. No, James Harden still was 20 and 10 last year. Had some really good playoff games and really bad ones. But Brad Beal, for the season is going to have a worse season than De'Aaron Fox because he's going to be he's going to be the third guy, whereas De'Aaron Fox is the number one guy, or Trae Young is the number one guy. It's just going to be so hard to rank those guys.
Yeah, we've talked about like who's the next Aaron Gordon to go to teams. It's like, is it Brad Beal? Like to go from like being an alpha on a bad team to playing like a third or fourth role.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, except in like guard form. I put Drew Holiday and Brunson in like the same category.
Yeah.
Or the same tier. And
where I struggle with Brunson is, we were texting about this before, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do this. And one of the distinctions I wanted to make was, are we doing better player or who would I rather have? And that's where you asked the Luka, would you rather have Anthony Edwards with him or Kyrie with him? I would rather have Jalen Brunson than Bradley Beal, James Harden.
Yeah, I'd drop Harden down a few spots if I was like, who would I rather have?
Right. Like, who would I rather have? Because I think Jalen Brunson has like an it factor. He has a leadership that just can't be defined. And as a player, I think Bradley Beal's a better player. But as like, who would I want on my basketball team? I think I would rather have Brunson, like to try and like, bring everybody together and be a leader, and like the vibes are immaculate, and like all that kind of stuff. I would have bumped him up a couple of spots if we changed the way we were doing this.
Yeah. So we have the same 20, right?
I have Cade at 19.
Okay.
And then
who's your 20th?
Fred VanVleet.
Is it sad that he didn't make my list?
Not even top 25.
No, we only have 5 more spots left.
The Houston Rockets just gave him $40 million a year. You're saying the Houston Rockets gave a non-top 25 guard $40 million a year? Also, you were high on the Houston Rockets recently. You said positive things about them, but you don't think they just signed a top 25 guard.
No, I do. Golden State also paid Jordan Poole $30-something million a year, and he's not in the top 30 guard.
Shipped his pool right out of there. It became an above ground in DC.
Once again, you're gonna laugh at this one. I have Scoot.
Wow.
And honestly, I think I might be too low.
Did that surprise me as much as the Cooper Flag pick for our who's next draft? Maybe. I think so. Yeah, I tried not to project as much, and I just think that with a rookie, it's hard to try and put him in this camp.
Nah, he's gonna be good.
A lot of all the guys on my list have played 2-3 at least years. So the next one's on my list. I have Cade at 19, Fred VanVleet at 20. That rounds out my top 20. Okay. LaMelo at 21.
I have LaMelo at 24.
Zach LaVine at 22.
Yeah, I have him.
CJ McCollum at 23.
McCollum did not make my list.
Jalen Green at 24.
Did not make my list.
Desmond Bane at 25.
I have Bane at 25 too.
I left off. There's this group that I left off that just feels tough. Marcus Smart, DeJounte Murray, Derek White. Those three. I'm like, oh.
I have DeJounte in there for me. Man, I feel like I only did like 24 now, because I feel like you have one more than me.
Yeah, each level you've been like, you have one more in this group than I did.
Yeah, because I knew Scoot in there would be a change up, but yeah, I have Scoot, LaVine, DeJounte Murray, LaMelo, and Desmond Bane. And these are the group of players. If you're listening to this and you're saying, all right, who else would be there in the top 5?
Yeah. Throw
out some names for you. Tyrese Maxey.
Yep.
Klay Thompson, Tyler Hero, Derek White, Austin Reeves, Chris Paul.
Yep. Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Honestly, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, not honestly. He's not on. Brogdon, Jalen Green, Jordan Poole, CJ McCollum. You had him. Simons, Marcus Smart. I am thoroughly surprised that you have Jalen Green on here.
Yeah, he's just so talented that I think that if Ime is going to get to somebody, I think it has to be Jalen Green. He's the Roy Kent in the if we're gonna make any headway here, it's got to be right in that. It's got to start right in that man's heart. And I think that Ime Udoka looks at Jalen Green's like, you've got to be the straw that stirs the drink. You've got to make it work.
I think the future guys for them is Jabari Smith and Amen Thompson.
Didn't you pick the over for them with their win totals?
Yeah.
How can you pick the over and not think that Fred VanVleet is a top 25 guard and that Jalen Green is also not part of their future? Like, that would be a disaster season for them.
I think you can. I think there's cases for like some of these guys that you'd take over like a Fred VanVleet. Like LaMelo can very well have a better season than Fred VanVleet this next season.
I have him one spot ahead of him.
Yeah. I think Scoot's going to be really, really good. If you tell me Fred VanVleet over DeJounte Murray, sure. Like, that's a toss-up for me.
Yeah.
Will we piss off our listeners if we say him over Zach LaVine? Maybe.
Our listeners are very sensitive about Zach LaVine topics.
And Desmond Bane. But we both have Desmond Bane as a top 25 guard.
Like, I put him at 25 because I just knew he was right in the backyard. He's right in the backyard of my rankings.
Right in the backyard. I really debated on Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
And just because I don't know, I need to watch more Sixers games this year because I feel like his trade value is so much higher than what I think it should be. And I think he's a good player, but man, I feel like he's getting thrown around as like just the A chip. Like,
well, we're hearing a lot of Sixers talk because of the James Harden situation, and Maxey is the guy coming up next, right? Like for them, like he's the guard that's next. It's the same as Jaden Hardy for the Mavs and how we talk about him. We probably talk about him a disproportionate amount for what we should talk about him because we talk about the Mavs every day. We're excited about him. We've got the Hardy Party song. And like,
remember somebody tweeted not too long ago about like somebody who was greater than Jaden Hardy and it was like another role player.
Oh, that was a troll.
Like,
that was a troll tweet.
Oh, and I was like, but this player had been in the league for a while. And I'm like,
it was Terrence Mann for the Clippers, which is honestly the perfect troll tweet. But imagine if Jaden Hardy goes from like 8 points a game this year to 17 in year 2 and shoots 43% from 3, 4 assists, and we're like, oh, this guy's got to play 35 minutes a game. He's got to start like in the playoffs. He plays 40 minutes a game. He just has to play. This is my question yesterday. What if Jaden Hardy's the third best player on the Mavericks? What happens? Because if he takes a leap like Tyrese Maxey did, those are Tyrese Maxey's numbers his second year. So not last year, but the year before. And so we would be talking about him the same way, and we'd be like, oh, this guy, we're excited about him, and he's,
Yeah, we briefly talked before the pod, like the Giddey Jalen Williams duo.
Yeah, I don't know what
to do. Their guards, like what do you do with those on this list? So I'm sure nobody listening to this will have any differing opinions. So let us know which of our rankings is so off, and who actually leave a discrepancy, but also leave one that you're like, hey, I agree with. Besides Luka's.
Yeah. If you're going to leave one you disagree with, you've got to leave one you agree with. There you go.
That's the price to pay.
Let us know. Who do you have in the top 10? Where's Kyrie and Luka rank in the top 10? Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.